Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schleck. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, as always, on Mondays, this will probably be dropped on Mondays, but we're recording on a Sunday. It's Michele Bear. Michele, what's up?
Hey, weird recording setting on Sunday, but same attitude, same interesting topics. We have a great podcast today, I feel like.
Yeah, this is the Poku Pod.
Wow.
And it should be fun. We're just going to we both went back and watched some Poku today just to get our bearings, because maybe him more than any other player that I've ever covered, he allows you to let your imagination run wild when you think about him and his game. And so to go back and look at the numbers, look at his play, like watch him. I watched clips of him from the beginning of the season and then clips of him at the end of the season, and just actually taking a look at like what changed, what was different from the Charlotte game to the Clippers game. You know, what is actually different about him, I think, is an important thing to do, because I think that we can get in our heads about the potential that he has and what he really did do and what he didn't do. And, but to take a look back, because it's been long enough. It's been long enough since we watched him play. So before we go there, the Thunder literally, I don't know, how long was it? Like 2 or 3 hours after we finished the Friday podcast. I get a little notification that they're signing Vit Krejci, and I was able to scrounge up the terms of the deal as well on Friday. So he's signed for a 4-year minimum deal with the Thunder. First year's fully guaranteed, and then partially guaranteed after that, and then
team options.
So they have him on a Hinkie special, essentially. So
yes,
if he's good, man, this is going to be a magnificent contract for Vit Krejci. If he's not good, he can go as soon as next season.
Yeah,
Europe. So this is all upside, no downside for OKC, and Vit gets a chance to play. And he'll get a real chance to play basketball this year. He's not going to play a ton for the Thunder, but he's going to play a ton for the Blue. And he's another in a long line of giant guards. Like, that's what he at least claims that he is.
Is he a giant?
He's big. He's big.
Oh,
I've seen him standing next to other Thunder players, and I can comfortably say that he is a little bit taller than Josh Giddey. So, like,
wow.
So he's big. And
so he's a true 6'10", maybe 6'9", 6.
Yeah, he's 6'9", 6'10". This is what the Thunder, like, if you can't tell what they're trying to do, they're trying to find guys that are 6'9" or bigger that can handle the ball, pass, shoot, do all those things. That's what they're looking for. That's the profile of the player that they're looking for. And Vit matches that to a T. And there are lots of factors that will lead to him playing for the Blue mostly this year. I think that one, like, they have guys to fill that spot already. Like, they need to find out what Josh Giddey is this season. And he plays basically the same position at the same height.
Yeah. And I can't possibly say that I'm an expert on Krejci, because I've seen like a couple of clips, and I think I watched like half a game when he played for U19. But the prototype of a player that I think that the shot is possibly real. I saw the motion looks very good. And if you have like a 6'10" ball handler that can shoot the basketball, at least he has a chance to be someone that makes sense in this modern NBA. Because if you take like a 6'10", like non-shooting big that can jump out of the building, you're not sure that he'll have a place in the NBA. he needs to be elite for that to be a case. If you're 6'10", you can handle the ball, you can pass, you can maybe shoot the basketball, and you're not terrible at defense. I think that you don't have to be special to be in the league.
Yeah.
Of course, to be a starter or like a very good rotation player, there's a longer road ahead. But at least you can see that OKC is trying to go a little bit off of beaten tracks in terms of recruiting and getting talents in OKC. And also they are shifting from the past. And again, it makes a ton of sense. And this is also related to, this also connects well with some of the things that I watched today of Pokusevski. We'll talk about that because I think that there were a few lineups in the Memphis game. The one where Shea went nuts and Poku was very good. Where I think that the conception of the unit is probably what OKC will look going forward. And Vit Krejci fits that unit to a T.
Yeah.
In principle.
And this is just another swing for OKC. He's a second round pick, early second round, but he's a second round pick. And most of those guys don't make an NBA rotation.
Yeah.
And that's just like the truth of it. So we can't overrate what he's going to be. But the profile is exciting. And really, I think that you can say with the current roster they have that Sam is trying to make one of the more versatile young rosters in the league happen, where it's not like how many of these guys can you say they play one position? Like this is you can only play one position. Like there are very few of them, if any, that you say, hey, we have to fit this guy here because he can only do this. Like it just is not. Honestly, it's the older guys, right? It's Muscala and Favors. Like they're both centers only.
Maybe Dort a bit. He's a guard. I don't see him as a point guard.
Right.
At least on offense, he's clearly a guard. I don't see him defensively. He can play probably three positions quite easily. But offensively, he's one of the guys where you can say, well, yeah, he can do a little bit of ball handling, but I'm not very confident in him running the point. And he's too small to be a small forward.
Yeah.
But even him, even him, he has on-ball skills that you can trust in specific situations. So, at least there is nobody in the young core that has very defined skills where like skills that you can put in a box and say, well, this is the player. No, that is not what they are trying to do here.
Yeah. I'm excited to see him. I'm excited to see what he can do against other G League players. And there will be games he'll play with the Thunder. Like there will be injuries. There will be times where they need somebody to come in. They may make a trade where they trade out three of their guys or something and bring back one guy and then open up roster spots. And, obviously he has a roster spot, but like open up minutes for somebody else. So it's just exciting. It's exciting to have another young player to follow and to see what they become. And if you look at the odds of every single draft position, 37, probably not great.
Yeah.
So I wish wouldn't take anything to the bank with him, but at least he's young, exciting, versatile, and like not another Dakari Johnson.
And we have to make discovery. There will be a discovery time with Krejci, which is again probably the point, discovery and development. And I was talking today with John about that a bit briefly, and how the G League season will play out will change a lot on how many young players will go there. Because if it's similar to last season, or at least if there is a time where they concentrate, 5 games, I can see even guys like Giddy going there.
Yeah.
Like if it's not playing 20, which is a possibility, I can see all the young players going there and just play 5 games, 48 minutes, something like that.
I mean, the
Yeah.
two-way guys will obviously be there. I think that
Yeah.
Wiggins and Josh Hall will be there a lot.
Yeah.
But like
Trey Man will be there
I
a
was gonna
lot,
say,
I think.
Trey Man should be there a lot, in my opinion, because
Yeah.
he needs a chance to have the ball in his hands
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to take the kinds of shots necessary under the Thunder system.
Yeah.
Like he needs that. He will have fewer opportunities with this Thunder team just because of the amount of guards that are on the team.
Yes, I was watching today that Memphis game. I watched 3 quarters, two and a half, and the starting unit was Shea, I think it was Ty Jerome, Justin Jackson, Pokusevski, and Moses Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Ty Jerome will play.
He's
Ty
good.
Jerome will play a lot, and he makes so much sense alongside Shea.
Yes.
You can even venture that he should start. Like, if you want shooting around Shea, that is what shooting and playmaking.
Yeah,
that
I'm a
guy,
big Ty Jerome supporter. He's very good. I have a hard time believing Trey Man can be better than Ty Jerome this season. I have a really hard time believing that.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to go all shooting, I think that Theo, Trey, and I don't know, probably Giddy will fight quite a lot to be in the court,
which is great.
Yeah,
like it's an environment that I think you will know like who's going to make it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know that we'll be able to tell anything at the end of this season, definitively.
Who knows?
But by the end of the season, we will know a lot. I think.
Yeah.
About how these guys are progressing in year one. And again, like you look at the odds, like the odds are much better that Josh Giddey ends up being like a good player, and the odds are pretty low that Trey Man ends up being a top 8 guy. The odds are low. I mean, that's just the way that it is.
Yes.
And he's going to have to fight to get there. And the thing with Mark Daigneault is that defensively, you have to play. You have to play on the defensive end.
Yeah.
And you have to be good. And that's Trey Man's biggest struggle.
Yeah.
And that's something that will be looking for to see, because that's what had most draft and like analyzers like didn't like him. If they pushed him to the second round, it's because they think he'll never defend at the NBA level.
Yeah. And like I think that and I said this many times. So like long-time listeners, forgive me. I'll always repeat myself, but there are different levels on the defensive end, and to me, the Daigneault system is you have like the base level is you don't screw up.
Yeah.
You don't take like possessions off. If you are on good position and you fail because the other guy is quicker than you or stronger than you, then you're not a great defender, but at least you were in the perfect spot. And you're not winning your one-on-one. And that to me is fine. I mean, of course, if you want to be on the court for long, you need to be like you need to hit the base level and then be great one-on-one.
Yep.
But to me, there is a chance that guys like Trey Man, they learn how to be on the base level where I'm in the right place, right stance, I'm moving as I'm supposed to do, and then sometimes I'm good enough, sometimes I'm not. And that is a completely fine level to be on.
Yeah.
Speaking of guys that can impact the defensive units, defensive level, defensive
let's talk
side,
about
whatever.
him. Let's talk about him actually right after this quick break. And we're back after that quick break. We're going to talk about Poku. This is the Poku Pod, Michele.
Yay.
Somehow Vit Krejci had us talking about him for 15 minutes, but this is all about Poku. This is what this is about. And he played one season. He played one G League bubble. He played against children over in Europe for a little while. And I'm pleased to say, after giving him a second look today, I'm super excited to see what he'll do this season. Now, there's a few things. I mean, I think you can definitely say he got stronger as the season went on. Like
Yes.
the ball, one of my first things that I thought watching a game from early this season until the end of the season is that the ball just looks, and this is something that Mike Schmidt say, like it looks easier. You know, like he shoots by the end of the season, he was shooting an easy ball.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the season, it felt like he had like catapult that thing off of his body. And you were like, oh no. That's like watching him. If he still looked like that at the end of the season, I don't think that there would be much hype behind him. I think it would just be like, oh goodness.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be either it's going to be a long time or it's going to be a short time.
Caboclo
for him.
2.0.
Yeah, yes. Or he's Bruno. And I think you can safely say that, man, he looked a lot better at the end of the season and was able to do a lot more at the end of the season, which is great. There's still something with his 3-point shot that he did even toward the end of the season where it's not a pump fake, but it's like this slight hesitation once he catches it, and he'll bring it up and he'll think about it and then he'll let it go.
Yeah.
And that's something he's got to stop.
Yes.
You know, he was doing that.
So you want him to chuck more, like with more freedom?
Yeah. Don't you?
Yes.
I don't like that. That's the one thing that I saw many times that I was just like, ooh, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Like it feels it's like it's him questioning what he should do, just like aloud with his hands, what he needs to be doing. What's an observation that you had going back and rewatching, McKelly?
Specific things. So again, I really indulge maybe too much on the Memphis game, and I just want to read what I typed in my notes about the first 3 possessions. First possession, it was a wing 3. Nailed it. Ty Jerome, very, very good pass. The second offensive possession was a handoff between him and Moses. And he basically had his defender on his back and went for a pull-up, like a perfect pull-up from the... And then on the next possession, he swats Dylan Brooks, like just randomly. Yeah. Like Dylan Brooks has no idea that Poku is covering the corner, okay, the right corner. And Dylan Brooks is attacking. And basically Poku raises a hand, and from, I don't know, 3 feet away, he's just long enough to swat the ball without even moving. And that is basically what Pokusevski is. Like a guy that can attack off the dribble, nail spot-up shooting, spot-up shots, and then be effective on the defensive end. You could say, well, as soon as you have the scouting report, that will be canceled because they will try blah, blah, blah. Yes. But Pokusevski was paired one-on-one against Anderson and against Ja Morant multiple times. And he wasn't bad.
Yeah.
I mean, Ja missed 2 shots and didn't take the third because he was against Pokusevski. And Anderson, it was the first possession that Anderson was paired against Poku. Poku was a little bit behind, and so immediately took a 3, nailed it. The next possession, Poku is basically on his shirt, and Anderson can't beat him off the dribble. And so after a while, you can see him looking at Pokusevski and saying, wow, he's in good position. Let me pass the ball away.
Yeah.
And if he's, again, this was a very good Poku game, and the problem with Poku is not the heights, is the lows, because, I mean, he had like 6 out of 8 against, or 6 out of 9 from 3 against the Clippers with like very easy shots that they look so natural. And then you have the 0 out of 8. So, but the heights are really, really interesting. And the point is, we'll need to see continuity. But I didn't expect to rewatch and see that he was able already to like pass, then relocate, and then hit from really, really deep range. That was something that was surprising to me. I didn't remember him. There was a possession where he basically almost blocked a guy, took the rebound, pushed the transition, stopped himself, wait for help. Muscala came, he handed it off to him, and then immediately popped. I think 3 feet behind the line.
Wow.
Nailed it. Swished it. And then I'll stop, I promise. There were already possessions where him and Shea were playing pick and roll, and sometimes Poku was the handler and Shea was the screener. That to me is something that is incredible, to have a point guard that screens for Pokusevski. And if Shea wants to do that, that will open so much for Poku.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wish we could have seen the 2-man game with like the post-bubble version of Poku a little bit more.
Yeah.
With he and Shea, because they were starting to figure some stuff out.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Poku was assisted on like a majority of his threes.
Mm-hmm.
And so to be catching it from somebody that can actually create, because I can tell you that there was 0 defenses that were afraid of Teo Maladon the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody really cared what he did. Do your thing, Teo. You're not going to beat us. It's just not going to happen. So take whatever shots you want, drive to the lane. We don't really care what you do. We're going to have our base defense set up, and it's going to stop you. With Shea, it's different. They didn't have anybody really outside of Poku at the end of the season that's going to break anybody down. And Poku did some of that toward the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
He was figuring some of that stuff out, especially against the tanking Clippers team in the last game. Like he was really able to figure some stuff out.
Yeah, but that does it count?
It was barely a real game, man. I was there. It was misery. It was absolute misery for everybody involved. Nobody wanted to be at that game. But he was assisted on 91% of his 3-point shots this season. And I mean, that's a big deal, especially whenever you're getting, and even adding Josh Giddey to the mix.
Yeah.
Like to add another playmaker like Josh, who is going to attack a defense and can whip the ball across the court with either hand.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a great thing for Poku, who's going to be a spot up shooter. And he's also going to be a guy that can create off the bounce. You know, those are the 2 things that he's going to do for the Thunder on the offensive end. And he's obviously going to create for players too. Like I talked about whipping passes cross court. Poku has that in his bag too. And if you forgot, like he was driving the lane toward the end of the season and whipping passes to guys in the corner, like right on target. Like you of all people know about pass accuracy, and that's something that he does pretty well with.
Yes. And I mean, you can clearly see how a pass can affect a shaky shooter. I mean, there was a pass that Shea threw, and it was a little bit off, not much. And Poku had to do what you said at the beginning. He catched it, but it wasn't perfect, so he had to think. Mm-hmm. Next pass, like perfect, nailed the 3. So that is extremely important. When you were talking, I was dreaming with my eyes wide open about Giddey, Shea, and Poku being able to be in a pick and roll setting. They can be either the ball handler or
anybody can set the
screener.
Screen. Yeah,
exactly.
Anybody. Yeah.
You can play handoffs, and you never know if that is a fake or that is a real handoff, because the guy that is making the screen or the guy that has the ball in his hands can fake that and put it onto the court and do something with it. Yep. And that is such a luxury to have. And so if you have like 3 main ball handlers that can be a really good screener because they are strong or tall, that is something that opens stuff to another degree. It gives OKC a new dimension. And I'm very, very curious to see the rotations that Bignell will put in on the court, the players, like how much Poku plays. Is he a 35 kind of guy? Is Giddey playing 30?
I mean, you hope so, right?
I really do, but there are many players. Like I'm thinking that some of the guys that had minutes last season, they will just see no minute at all. Like Roby, I don't know.
That would be. I mean, like I like Isaiah Roby, and he got better. Like Roby got better, but if these guys are going to be good at all, Roby should play a whole lot. And the only reason that Roby should be playing is perhaps they find a landing spot for Favors, and then they need to play Roby some at the 5, right?
Yeah, some, but yeah.
The thing about Roby is like he's one of those like wrong way tweeners, right?
Yeah.
Like tweeners are typically it's a fine thing to be, but in the NBA is similar to like a Markieff Morris. Like you wouldn't want Markieff as your starting guy.
Yeah.
But he can be in the middle there. And that's kind of what Roby is.
Yeah, you want tweeners that are 5s on defense and 4 on offense. That is what you want to have.
Exactly.
Not the other way around. Yeah. And I don't know. I'm all in for the Bazley at center full time. At least let's try him against second units and see what happens.
Sure.
To me, it makes so much sense to play him with Poku, Giddy, Ty, and Shea, for example, or Dort and Shea. Let's roll out a unit like that and see what happens. They'll be hammered on the defensive glass, but I mean, is that really important? I think that you really want to see how far you can go in terms of giving those guys, your premier guys, minutes. That is, I think, what you want to do next season, and not play around with too many minutes of Favors. Muscala makes a lot of sense because makes basketball so much easier for everyone else. So I'm fine playing Mike 20. Even Kenrich, that is the same to me. But Theo Maledon should earn his minutes. I want to give a minute to him because to me, he had a lot of minutes last year, and now he needs to take them. Otherwise, let's play Ty Jerome. Let's play Giddy. Let's even try Trey Mann.
Yeah, they need to. That's what this season needs to be about, is weeding guys out, like figuring out what they are. And I think you need to give a long runway for guys like Poku and Giddy because they're so young. And even Teo's young, man. Like he needs time to figure it out. But I'm with you in that whoever rises to the top of this crew deserves to play the minutes.
Yes.
And if you're going to fight for it, good. And if Teo's not good enough to earn 25 minutes on this team, then he needs to get better. Maybe he will play some G League minutes. Like that wouldn't surprise me either if he went and played some G League minutes and got better. Like he needs to be a much better shooter. If Teo's going to play in this league, like he has to be a good spot up shooter. Yeah. If he's not, I think he's going to have a hard time figuring out where to be on any NBA team, let alone the Thunder, who should not be good this year. Like I think that's quite clear. Let's see. So on drives, Michele's frozen or I'm frozen. I don't know which. Sometimes I have a hard time figuring out what's what on this platform. But I think it was Michele.
Yeah, it was probably me.
Okay. That's okay. So on drives for the season, Poku was 5.3 drives per game. Now, like, how do you measure that the amount of drives? Well, Shea led the league in drives, or was pretty darn close to it, and he had 25 drives per game. So that's just showing you, like, he didn't have that many. Like Kenrich, he almost had the same number as Kenrich Williams. The only guys that had more drives per game than Poku that were on the team at the end of the season. Svi had 6.8, Ty Jerome 6.9, very nice. Darius Bazley 8.6. That kind of surprised me a little bit.
But at the end of the season, Baze was really into beating slower guys off the dribble. That is why I think you should try him as a center.
Yeah, the Jeremy Grant style center.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Let him feast against slow. It's not that like 3 years ago there were a lot of teams that had slow-footed centers in the like Cristiano Felicio, for example.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Like those guys are basically gone. But I think that Bazley can be faster than most of the centers, and so if he handles the rebound and positional defense department, then hey, maybe he can play.
But the biggest problem with him, so he drove not that many times, a decent amount of times to the rim. He only shot 39.8% on his drives, which the only guys that were worse, you can probably even tell me who they are. Josh Hall, Charlie Brown Jr., Mike Muscala, who never drove the ball.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, that's your list of players that were worse than Poku. You know, Tony Bradley had a better percentage. Teo barely. Teo was 40.7% on drives.
That is terrible.
Also, Lou Dort, 41% on drives.
That checks out.
Yeah,
because he had like a very bad percentage at the rim. It's also is that the part with Poku is he got pushed around so many times.
And there's a reason. Like, if you're like, man, I really wish Poku would have played in summer league. Like, I felt that way too. But stats like this, and watching and seeing what he did during the season again, you have to think, holy moly, the only thing this guy needs to do is be in the gym and get stronger. Because if he can get stronger, like he checks like all the boxes for the I'm not strong enough to play in the NBA checklist, right?
Yes.
It's on drives. He was one of the worst guys on the team. Just finishing at the rim, only 55% at the rim. If you're 7 feet, 55%, no good. Like, you got to be better than that.
Like 55 to me seems high.
Yeah.
For the eye test.
Yeah.
I mean, that is not a bad number for how badly he was beaten down there.
Yeah.
There was a possession where he skied for a rebound, and Anderson, which is a very intelligent player and smart player, as soon as he jumped, he just pushed him a bit, and boom, the rebound wasn't his own, even if he's much taller, and he jumped at the right time. But you need to be strong. You need to be difficult to move down there. But these are things that, like, if your main problem in the NBA is consistency on the shot and being strong, I mean, those are stuff where like, you just have to shoot all day long. You have the time, you have the money, and the NBA team will get you ready in terms of strength.
Those are very fixable. Like, he has fixable problems.
Exactly.
Is the thing about Poku that, you know, I think you can get in your head one of two ways with Poku. I think that most Thunder fans are in their own head about him being a superstar next year, right? And then there's a group of people that are like, think that you can go look at the stats and you can talk yourself into the fact that, like, well, he's just not any good.
Yes.
I just don't even see it. How is he ever going to be good?
Yeah.
And I think that's wrong too. I think that both of those are wrong at this point in time. If you think that Poku is just not good, you're like, I'm completely out on him. Like, you're just not paying attention. You're just saying, I didn't watch the games the rest of, for half of the season. And that's okay. Because you know what? Most Thunder fans, most NBA people didn't watch the games either. Yeah. But if you want to have an educated opinion on Poku, like, watch the games, go see what he did, take a look at the stats, and figure out, like, why did it happen? Like, why am I seeing this number? Like, how did this correlate? And you can look, the month of May, he was really good, like, legitimately good. You look at the splits for the month of May, and you can say, wow, like, he was actually a good basketball player in the month of May. And let me pull up his shooting stats in May. Let's see. True shooting, 55.8% true shooting. Like,
above league average. Yeah.
Yeah. 46% from the field, 43% from three. Now, I don't think that's who he's going to be. I mean, if he shoots 43% from three, like, watch out, NBA. Like, absolutely.
There is a chance the motion looks good.
Yeah, there is a chance. The odds of somebody being a volume 43% three-point shooter are pretty low. But if he can be 38% from three on good volume and be able to do all the other things he does,
he's a good player.
Create. And defensively, we should talk more about how he plays on defense. You talked about that at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But he's going to be able to defend multiple positions, especially as he gets stronger. And one of the keys with him, and something that actually had him not being a complete sieve last year, is that he has super strong legs. And if just looking at him physically, like he is a very odd shaped person in that he's 7 feet, really skinny, but he's got these trunk legs where guys can kind of push him around, but if he's the guy that needs to hold up, he can hold up decently against other guys.
It's the upper part that is a problem, and the core strength.
Yes, it's absolutely the upper body strength stuff that he struggles with, and that's what he's been working on. That's why, I mean, the dude took off a few weeks after the season ended, and then he's been back here, and he has been working and wants to be better. And he traveled with the team to Vegas. He was there. Everybody saw him there watching the games. But he is extremely dedicated to getting better, which is also like another like checklist for him, is like, what are his skills? It's all there. Is the work ethic there? Like, absolutely, it's there. And then another factor that I think is going to help him this season is the fact that this 18-year-old came over to the United States during a pandemic, came to a city he's never been to, with people that didn't speak his language, with nobody that really knew him very well. He eventually got his girlfriend here, which is also a good thing. But what an immensely challenging year for all of us. There's no exception. It was a challenging year for everybody. And not only for Poku, but for everybody. But to be able to have to move, to be in a city that's like, frankly, not that great. You know, I live here. I love living here. I probably won't live anywhere else. But the truth is, when you get to travel to all these other NBA cities, when you are from Europe, when you get to live in Greece, and then you come to OKC, like, oh boy, like it's like,
and it's a cultural shock. It's different.
It is different. It's a cultural shock. Like, like you live in one of the more beautiful places in the world. You're sending me pictures of like, here's where I am today. I'm like, my goodness, like he's in the beautiful mountains. Like, hey, look, oh, he's at the beautiful beach. Like, wow, look at this. And I'm like, hey, check this out. There's red dirt in the pond behind my house. Click, click. You know, it's just different. It's just so different. But I just think the fact that he is used to it, and that he knows the guys, and that they know him, and not only the guys on the team, but the trainers and the coaches.
That's family now.
Everybody's back. And I think that is such a big deal, to where you come in, you know what your job is, you know what the expectations are from everybody on the team, and you just get to come and do it again. Like, it, for the most part, people get better in environments like that. Like, that's just the way it is, especially in an environment like the Thunder have. I mean, I just even think about a player like Hamidou Diallo, who played for the Thunder, and he had some inconsistency stuff, like with the surroundings, because they did change coaches while he was here. But most of the team stayed the same. Like, some of the same assistant coaches stayed on. The training staff is mostly the same. Like, everything is still mostly the same. The management's still the same. You know, building the same, city is the same, all that. But he just got better because the team is going to be dedicated to these players.
Yeah,
like, that's unquestionable.
Oh yeah.
What is the factor in players getting better or not in OKC is talent is number one. Number two is the player as dedicated as the team is.
Yeah. And seems...
Are they able to have the same attention? Because, like, you think about a Terrence Ferguson, like, why didn't Terrence Ferguson work out? Well, he had so many outside things going on that he couldn't be as dedicated as the team was to him at getting better.
Yeah. And
which is just a part of life sometimes.
Yes,
it is. Not saying that, like, oh, Terrence Ferguson did the wrong thing. Like, Terrence Ferguson had a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And there were some of it out of his control.
Yes.
But with Hamidou Diallo, dude is just focused on basketball.
Yeah.
and he got better, and he earned a second deal. And like
Yes.
for a second rounder to earn the deal that he earned should be applauded. Like, wow, that is a massive accomplishment. I don't know what the numbers are on like how many second rounders picked in his range earn as much as he earned on that second deal, but it's got to be like super crazy low.
Yeah, not many. In terms of percentage, not many. And then if you want like the final word of comfort for Pokusevski and why you should be optimistic, just take everyone but Cade and bring them back when they were 18 and put them on an NBA court and tell me how they look like. Maybe Jalen Green looks like a player, maybe on some nights. I think that Jalen Green is a good example because I can definitely see Jalen Green going off, even last year.
Yeah.
Off
he can 40, just score.
28 points.
He's going to be able to do what he does. Yeah.
Yes, but Pokusevski, again, I'll state the same that I did before because it's very important. When Pokusevski plays well, it's not just random. It's not just him. Everyone plays great. Because Poku can open up so much for everyone. And he's a guy that is not selfish. He passes the ball very well. And the heights, like, he puts up very good games. When he has it, he has it. And, I mean, I remember the game where Shea played. It was a totally different game. So it's not apples to apples comparison here. But when Shea had his heights in Los Angeles, you could say, oh, if that is what he can do
right
more often, that guy's a star.
Yep.
And there aren't many guys on the rookie. I mean, Theo Maledon, I think he had 30 in one game. But it was only like the shooting going in. It was not like really affecting the game. The game was terrible and he just scored 30.
Yeah.
When Poku is great, the team is great. So that to me is something, tells me something. I don't know how much I should trust that, but to me there is a little bit more in those performances.
You just look at true shooting percentages for Poku when they win, 53.8 when they win. When they lose, 38.9.
Yeah. When the shot doesn't go, Poku doesn't go. That is something that you can tell immediately. And it's not a good thing. But it's a thing that on a young player worries me less. Because when he's on his groove, when the flow is good, then he's awesome. And again, with experience, I think that like some players can be like that. Just tricky. When it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's bad. It can happen. But the point is, to me, you can when Poku is going, you can feel something. You can feel something different. Like the best version of Poku is an all-star. Like, period. The best version of guys like Theo are good players. Yep. And that is different. That is why so many people, including Sam Vecini, which is a guy that you should trust in terms of talent management, talent evaluation, they say, look out, because if that guy's pulled it together, that is going to be a star. He's going to be a star in this league. And yeah, maybe he doesn't. Maybe it will be in 3 years. Maybe it will never be that, because it will be 0 out of 8 one day and 20 points the day after. And those guys are not star, are just players that are in the NBA, but not consistent enough.
Yep. Yeah, I think that you're right. And also the age thing, like it's a significant thing. Like he is younger than Cade, younger than Scotty Barnes, younger than Evan Mobley, younger than Jalen Suggs. Josh Giddey is younger than him. Kuminga is younger than him, but like Franz Wagner, obviously Davion Mitchell. Zaire Williams, who's everyone's like, oh my gosh, Zaire Williams, so young, younger than Zaire Williams. Younger than Book Knight, younger than, well, Moses Moody might be, Moses Moody's younger, but he's younger than almost everybody picked in the first round. He's younger than Trey Mann. Like, obviously Trey Mann was a sophomore, but like still, it's just weird to think about it. in that way, that he's like significantly younger than these guys. Like he's significantly younger than Bones Highland. Like he's almost a year younger than Bones, which is just wild to think about. And, you know, you look at like Davion is 3 years older than Poku.
Can you imagine? Go back 3 years.
Yeah.
I can put Davion here in the NBA.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
It is a big deal. Like the only guys that are younger than him, I think Jalen Green, Giddey, Kuminga, obviously Josh Primo, who is the youngest guy in the draft, Moses Moody, Şengün is younger. There's just not that many guys that are younger. So like he needs time. And then two, like the potential is giant. It's giant.
Yes.
And I think that if you go back to that 2020 draft and you put him a year later and you see what he did with this season and you throw him back in the draft, like where does he go in that draft? I mean, I think that
No, we will do a redraft.
Monday. Yes, next Monday. Tune in for the redraft.
Yeah.
And see where Aleksej Pokusevski. That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Where we see how much the Phoenix Suns
dude
did it wrong.
Can you imagine if they had him?
Just Halliburton. Like just put Tyrese alongside Booker.
Even Vassell.
And even Vassell. Anyone but him.
Anyone but Jalen Smith.
Yeah.
Maybe not Cole Anthony, but anybody else.
Maybe not Cole Anthony.
Okay, we gotta go. Thanks so much for tuning in on a Sunday. If you're live on the stream, let's go over to the stream. There were people that were here. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hoopstock 69 is here. Jacoby King is here. Daniel Tomasi from the UK. What's up? Jay Smooth is a Poku hater in the house. Ooh, I don't know about that. My guy Alex Bullerjack is here. Thanks so much for being here, dude. Let's see. Miroslav is here. Everyone Needs a Smile is here. Augusto Sarmento is here. Thanks everybody for joining. Nathan Creamer is here. John Murphy, ISO Me is here. Thanks everybody for joining us on a Sunday. Hope everyone's doing well. If you're in the US, enjoy. Hopefully you get a day off. If you do, enjoy it. If you're elsewhere, hope you have a great day. We will talk to you guys again on Wednesday.